Hey everyone, today I'll be taking on the 3-color challenge. I asked some of my friends to throw some colors at me, and here's what I got. In order, I got a yellow from Matt, a muted turquoise from my friend Trot, and a dark blue from Keith, who actually suggested I do something like this a few weeks ago. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Woo! Okay, sorry if the audio sounds a bit different. I had to record this on a completely separate day from when I recorded the intro, just because I couldn't think of anything good to say. I recorded 47 minutes of audio and none of it was usable. Like, legitimately, none of it. I kept mumbling over my words and not knowing what to exactly explain about what I was doing. So I decided to come back at it with a fresh mind and just kind of ramble and have fun with it. So I'm sorry if what I say doesn't really sync up with the footage that you're seeing, but honestly, that's the only way this video is ever going to get out. Let's talk a little bit about designing the piece. The first thing I wanted to do with these 3 colors that I got was to come up with some thumbnails. Half because I never thumbnail any of my pieces, like any of them, because I'm a horrible artist, and half just because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. The colors that I was given weren't really colors that I worked with all too often. Like the dark blue was. The dark blue was very much in my home court, so to say. But the bright yellow and the kind of muted turquoise, I was unsure of what to do with it. And all 3 of those colors together was super confusing because I noticed that the yellow and the turquoise went well with the dark blue, but the yellow and turquoise didn't want to be friends at first, and I was like, oh god, I gotta make them friends for the sake of the art piece. So I went through a few different ideas that I'm sure the footage is already passed for, but the first one was a alien abduction scene where this UFO was flying over this farm and was sucking up these sheep and cows for whatever reason. And I liked that idea a lot, but I did want to try out some other options. So the next thing I drew was this peaceful, general lady, just kind of sitting in a field. Maybe she was near a river, and I put some flowers in her hair because I wanted to experiment with using the yellow for sunflowers. I figured maybe that would be a nice pop of color in the piece, and I could that's how I would use the yellow. But I didn't really like the way that was turning out, so I kept going. The next thing I came up with was this elder pony OC design thing, because I really wanted to try and design a new character with this, but no matter what I did, it just didn't look right, and something about her screamed anything but me, and I wanted this piece to really be something from me and not just something that I just randomly produced. I wanted this work to be something I was proud of. So I obviously kept going, and I came up with this very similar to the first concept, this scene of a pony being abducted. And I was like, oh, okay, so this combines kind of having a character, having a sole character, and also the alien abduction, which I really liked. And so I made it a bigger thumbnail, and I put some sheep around in the foreground and the back, and I made the main focus of the piece my mascot, Willow. And this is the concept that I fell in love with. I was like, this is the one. So I transferred it over to the bigger canvas and started working. I cleaned up the sketch a little bit, some of which you should have seen in the footage, and some of which I did off camera just because I kept forgetting to hit the recording button. But it was a lot of fun. Then came the question of, am I going to line this, or am I going to keep it without the lines? And I honestly was kind of torn on this one. I really like the way my lineless work looks, just because it kind of looks more cartoony, and that way I would have had a lot more freedom to play with the colors. I was worried that I was going to have trouble portraying some of the bigger parts of the picture and making sure that everything looked the way I wanted it to. But I took a leap of faith. I went for the lineless, and I think it turned out really good. I had a lot of fun with it. Because it was lineless, though, I spent a ton of time on this. To put it into perspective, a piece like this would take me like an hour and a half maybe in total. I spent an hour and a half on just the face, like just the face and the ears and like the hair, just like the head area. Took me an hour and a half by itself, and the rest of the piece was 2 hours. So in total it took me 3 hours to make this, and it shows because it looks really good. I promise you guys will see it at the end. It looks really good. I love the way it came out. But I spent so much time on this head trying to make sure it looked right because the eyes kept looking crooked, and then I wasn't sure where to put the pupils exactly, and because of the yellow tone that was on everything so that it would match the palette properly, the color of my eyes, of my mascot's eyes, was like almost white, and I was worried that it wouldn't look good, so I had to add a bunch of different shading techniques in there and just make sure that the lighting showed that it was in fact an eye and not just the white of the eye. And I was like, okay. So that's why it took so long, because the eyes were just giving me grief. Also, the muzzle was giving me grief, like the part where it's like, okay, here's the muzzle and then here's the side of the face, like the distinction there, which is really obvious in my work with lines because, well, there's a line there, but when you're working with lineless, I had to like make sure that was, you know, there was a little distinction, but not so much that it looked like I lined it. So that was another whole fun thing that I had to do. I actually screw up on the face too, and you can see it in the footage. The freckles on the cheeks and ears were like a slight brownish color, but with the palette I was working with, they needed to be a yellow, so I had to go back and change that too, which kind of sucked, but it looked really good in the end. I knew that I wanted like the sheep in certain places and then the beam coming down from the spaceship. Like I knew exactly what I wanted for like that part of it, but I had zero idea what to do for the background. At the end of this, I ended up throwing up the dark blue that I got and putting in some turquoise clouds that are just shaded and highlighted with more turquoise, and then some turquoise stars that I ended up blurring out so much you can't even see them. But I just did kind of a basic background so you could tell it was, you know, up in the sky. I wanted that to be very obvious too. You'll also be able to see at the end of this piece that I took the sheep, and after I was done with them, I used a, God, I always say Gaussian for some reason, and I know that's wrong, but I used a Gaussian blur over the sheep so that they weren't the focal point of the piece. I really wanted to play around with perspective and make sure that your eye snapped to my horse and not like the sheep that's super in the foreground or the sheep that's like in the back behind the horse. I wanted to make sure that your eyes were on my mascot, so I feel like that Gaussian blur really helped sell that point. And I'm actually super proud of myself that I got that to look good. I don't really have much else to say about the piece in general, just because, well, it's pretty straightforward. It's my character and a bunch of sheep getting abducted. So let's talk about my channel a little bit. I haven't been super active here. I've been actually uploading a lot more consistently than I think, but since I'm always thinking I can do better, I've been acting like I haven't posted in a month, since I literally posted last week. But it's kind of been difficult to keep on top of everything here. I've fallen off streaming completely. Like I've really tried to stream recently. I've actually done so, I think it's been either 3 or 4 times in the past 2 weeks I've tried streaming, and it just hasn't worked out. Like, I streamed this game called Diaries of a Spaceport Janitor that, like, nobody showed up to, which I don't blame them because, first of all, the game is garbage, in my opinion. And second of all, I wasn't talking. Like, I wasn't interacting with anyone, and then I had to abruptly end the stream for personal reasons. So, that sucked. And then the next stream was actually later that night. I tried VR chat, and that was 10 minutes of the worst content I would have ever put on my channel. I'm so glad that I didn't tell anyone I was streaming and that I didn't, like, have actual viewers then, because the game, like, my computer and streaming and the game just weren't cooperating with each other, and the footage looked like shit, and it was just horrible. So I turned off the stream right away, and that sucked. And then after that, I tried streaming yesterday. Well, yesterday for me, God knows when this video is going up, but yesterday I tried streaming a game called Heartbeat, and to be fair, I was very sleep deprived. I did not sleep at all the night before that because of the dentist appointment stuff, but I tried streaming and it just didn't feel right, and I got frustrated and couldn't talk and just felt like I was suffocating myself, which really sucked. So I abruptly ended stream and sort of gave out this half excuse as to why. I was like, I don't feel it, which was true, because I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't good. But I really do want to get back to streaming soon. I want to get back to Sally Face. I want to finish Sally Face Chapter 4 for both myself and for a school project I have to do. But I do want to say I'm sorry for not streaming as much as I used to. I promise I'm trying to get back on top of that. As for actual content that goes up on my channel, like speed paints and memes and stuff like that, I have a few projects in the works. It's just they're not coming together. And my speed paints have been so sporadic in upload recently because I don't plan them out as much as I used to, and it basically comes down to, okay, do I want to record while I'm casually drawing right now and just see where it goes, or am I gonna just say fuck it? And more often than not recently, I've just been recording kind of dumb stuff. The last video that went up on my channel was called Level Headed, and I hate that video. I hate everything about it. I don't like the way the art came out. I don't like the songs that I used. There isn't a ton of love in that. It wasn't a passion project for me. It was just kind of a, well, I hit the recording button and here we are. And I mean, the same thing happened with the I Can Fight speed paint for Doki Doki Literature Club. I basically just hit the record button and hoped for the best. That wasn't something I was super passionate about putting out on my channel. And I really want to make content that I'm passionate about. So I'm going to work on that. But it's so difficult to convince myself to work on my passion projects and record at the same time, because I worry that my really inconsistent drawing wouldn't come out looking good on footage. Like, a lot of the uploads I have like, I have to feed my cat, and it says BRB, which is like cute and all, haha, but it makes me feel really uncomfortable because if I didn't write that in, it'd just be this weird cut in footage for like 2-3 minutes while I fed the cat, or like 2-3 minutes while I got up and danced around and forgot I was recording. And most times I would forget to cut that out. So I don't want to release content where it's like, okay, drawing, and then it stops for like 30 seconds. And in real life, that's like 15 minutes, but it stops for 30 seconds in the recording, and then you're like, huh, what happened? Did it freeze up? Or why is there this weird inconsistency in the footage? And I've always been self-conscious about stuff like that because I watch speed paints all the time, and I'm like, oh my god, what is wrong with this person? Or the people who have like YouTube open, they don't know how to use OBS, so they'll like casually have their YouTube open up on the screen for like 2 seconds. Like, I don't ever want to be one of those people on purpose. It might happen on accident, I might slip up, but, you know, it's not the goal. But I do want to get out more content, and I do have stuff in the works. It's coming. I just have to get around to it and stop procrastinating and stop being a perfectionist in a lot of ways. Because, like, I have my next story time video planned out, and I wanted to script it, but that's what's taking so long, because the script is like banging pots and pans in my head, and it's so much easier to just ramble into the microphone than to have a script. But it's like, this video kind of requires a script because it has dialogue in it that I was going to have my friends voice act for, so it wasn't just me putting on stupid accents for 20 minutes. So it's like, We'll figure it out though. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, I'm sure. I would like to give a big thank you to everyone who has stuck around through all of the stuff that I have put out so far. I appreciate you guys so much, and the comments I get are fantastic. Like on my 300 subscribers video, my 300 subscribers speed on my 300 subscribers speed paint, I got a ton of comments from people saying congratulations and good job, and my favorite one that's pinned is congrats, I hope you make more trashy content. And I'm like, that's so great. And it's stuff like that that really makes me smile and makes me think, oh man, I should start working on my next project. So thank you all so much for sticking around, and I hope watching this video wasn't a total disappointment because, oh, it's a 3-color challenge. He's gonna be talking about all the colors he uses and his process, and I'm just sitting over here rambling about stupid shit for 18 minutes. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye! Scared clowns and get-togethers get me down, but when you talk it's like, wow, I'm not crazy. I'm scared. I don't know the words to the song yet. I'm not crazy.